would like to present a detailed overview of book 6th of Masnavi Rumi, or Daftar Shasham. And Daftar contains 4,911 couplets, and every of its couplets presents a beautiful idea. Masnavi is writer Maulana Rumi has started that daftar or book with name of Husamuddin. Ay hayat dil Husamuddin base. Ay hayat dil Husamuddin base. Mel mein jo shad kisme saad se. O life of my heart, Husamuddin. O life of my heart, Husamuddin. A great longing is surging within me for sixth part. And it is very much interesting that Maulana Rumi has started all the 5 books from except Daftar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 daftars with the name of Husamuddin. Then he says, the Peshkash Miyarmat e Manavi, Kisam Sadas Dar Tamame Masnavi. O spiritual one, I offer this as a gift to you, the 6th part of the entire Masnavi. Shash Jahatra Noor Da Zi Shash Sof. Shash Jahatra Noor Da Zi Shash Sof Ke Yatof. Hawlahu Mallam Yatuf. Illuminate the 6 directions with these 6 books. What a wonderful thought, that enlighten the 6 directions with these 6 books, so that one who has not yet circumambulated them may circle around them. So it is Rumi's thought about 6th daftar. Rumi in another couplet says, Ishqa ba panj wa ba shashkar nest, maqsad u juz jazab an dildar nest. Love has nothing to do with 5 senses or the 6 directions. Its sole purpose is attraction toward the beloved. That is the Masnavi. What is the Masnavi or Daftar Shasham or book 6th? And we will overview, because this is the last Daftar. So 6th book portion, mystical epic, approximately 26,000 couplet in the total, written primarily as spiritual instruction, combines stories, Quranic references, hadith, Sufi terminology, philosophical argument, ethical instruction, and lyrical poetry. Central purpose of the Masnavi was transformation of human being from ego consciousness to God consciousness. Position of book 6th within 6 books. So far we are going through a brief description of every book. Book 1st is about, its main theme or dominant theme is separation and spiritual awakening. And then book 2nd offers a thought on nafs, deception and discipline. Book 3rd gives reason, love and knowledge. Book 4th, divine wisdom and spiritual perception. Book 5th, guidance and spiritual transformation. Book 6th, fana, divine unity and culmination. So this is the main profile of all of the 6 books. Book 6 is longest of 6 books, approaching nearly 5,000 couplets. Historical context, if we are looking on Rumi, Rumi lived from 1207 to 1273. He was born in 1207 and he passed away from this world in 2073. Major intellectual center was Konya. Masnavi composed in final period of his life. Husamuddin Chalabi played a central role in its transmission. The Konya manuscript was completed in 1278, 5 years after Rumi's death. So there are a few lines added in it by after his death. Opening of sixth book, as I have already mentioned, that he says that, "O Samuddin, life of my heart." He declares everything clearly. "O Samuddin, life of my heart, my longing has turned towards the sixth book. I am longing now to write sixth book of the Masnavi." The sixth book is presented as a renewed spiritual impulse. Osamuddin is simultaneously disciple, companion, and transmitter. The Masnavi is represented as a living spiritual discourse. Central questions of the book sixth are: how does the human being move from multiplicity to divine unity? The movement is nafs, then purification, then love, then knowledge, then fana, then baka. Three fundamental questions are being asked in this regard. Who am I? What prevents me from knowing reality? What kind of knowledge leads to God? Major themes of this book are divine love, fana, baka, nafs, spiritual knowledge, limits of reason, purification of heart, spiritual perception, appearance versus reality, divine unity, death and transformation, love beyond the senses. Original Persian text in this regard, as I have already mentioned, that Ishkraba Panjo Ba Shashkar Nest. Love does not care about the five senses and six directions. Maqsad-e-u juz jazb andildar nest. Its sole purpose is attraction towards the beloved. Philosophical significance of this is five sensory perception, organized six special or worldly orientation, and love transcends empirical limitations. Ishq becomes an epistemological mood. Fana, annihilation of the ego. Fana is not physical destruction, rather destruction of egoic autonomy, surrender of possessiveness, overcoming nafs, disappearance of illusion of independent selfhood. Formula is death of ego. Ego is birth of the spiritual self. Fana and baka. Fana, ego disappears. Baka, spirit abides. Fana, self-centeredness. Baka, God-centeredness emerges. Fana, separation, and unity is to baka. Attachment is to fana, surrender is to baka. I is to fana, and divine reality is to baka. Key proposition of that this whole thought is: fana is not nihilism. Fana is not nihilism, it is the transformation of ego's claim to independent existence. Knowledge, ilm, marfa, mushahida. Ilm is acquired knowledge, marfa is experiential recognition, mushahida is direct spiritual witnessing. Rumi's epistemological hierarchy is information, transformation, then realization. Reason and love. Rumi does not simply reject reason. Instead, Rumi analyzes the reason, and he says that reason analyzes, knowledge conceptualizes. That is the difference between it, and love transforms. If your activity you are claiming that it is love, if it is not, it does not transform to you, then it is not love, it is just only worldly relation. Mushahada is directly witnessing, and central distinction is in it that reason can describe the path. Reason can show the path. Love makes the seeker travel it. The heart is as mirror in human persona. One of Rumi's central metaphor is unpurified heart, distorted reflection, purified heart, clear mirror. The heart must be polished through remembrance. Fazkuruni azkurkum, Visaryana Visran, Sambarya Sova, sincerity, love, discipline, humility, detachment. Conceptual formula will be a rust of ego, polishing to it, then clarity, and then spiritual vision. Then comes a story of Chinese merchants and Byzantine painters. Chinese painters create elaborate images. Byzantine painters simply polish their wall. It is also comparison between the two considerations, two activities, two strategies. When the barrier disappears, the polished wall perfectly reflects the Chinese paintings. That story tells us that there were two type of artists who came to a king, and they said that we are very much crafty in our craft, so we are making any type of art for you. And the king asked them to do whatsoever they want to do. So they were there, and the Chinese painters made very beautiful paintings on wall. However, the Byzantine uh, artists polished walls, and curtain was between both the walls. As curtain was disappeared, then all the paintings of wall made by Chinese painters were reflected on the other wall too. So it was not it was not clear that who has made on the wall, because both were the similar. So it is a story of symbolism. A story is Chinese paintings, spiritual meaning, acquired knowledge, forms, polished wall is purified heart, reflection, spiritual perception, polishing, Sufi discipline. Main lesson from this story is spiritual realization requires not merely adding knowledge but removing the impurities that obstruct perception. Appearance versus reality. Book 6 repeatedly asks, is what we see what actually exists? Rumi uses disguises, mirrors, traps, false ascetics, kings, animals, scholars to expose the difference between zahir or outer appearance and batan or inner reality. The fowler and the bird, it is also a story. A hunter disguises himself as a spiritual ascetic. The bird trusts the appearance. The hunter sets the trap. It is also a symbolical story that bird represents soul, fowler is deception or ego, grain is worldly attraction, and trap is attachment, and disguise is false spirituality. Lesson emerges that spiritual discernment requires looking beyond appearances and In that story, Rumi has narrated Raft Murge Darmiyan Murgazar Bodh Anja Dam Az Bahre Shikar. A bird went into meadow. There a trap had been laid for hunting. Then comes the spiritual perception. Rumi distinguishes physical eye to the sensory knowledge, from inner eye to the spiritual knowledge, and ultimately basirat or inner spiritual insight. The spiritual senses, five physical senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Rumi metaphorically develops corresponding spiritual capacities to those five things. Physical perception sees forms. Spiritual perception perceives meaning. Mystical perception recognizes divine reality. Quranic parallels and spiritual blindness. The Quran distinguishes physical blindness from blindness of the heart. Rumi's interpretation is that the real problem is not defective eyesight, but defective perception. If we are comparing it, then Quran, blindness of the heart, and Rumi, blindness of the spiritual perception, by giving the examples of it and explaining all of it, all of that, the thought that was described in Quran Sharif. Then nafs represents the self in its ego-centered condition. Major manifestations of nafs are pride, greed, lust, anger, envy, attachment, desire for recognition. Rumi's solution is not simply suppression, it is transformation. It is not possible to suppress it completely because it is an existence, and that existence needs to be tamed and trained to be transformed. Death as transformation. In this chapter, Rumi has described death as transformation. There are two kinds of death: physical death, end of bodily existence; spiritual death, death of ego before bodily truth. And that is also said in the that Motu Kabul Ant Motu Arshalati was said, Marana Age Demoa se Marina Thyamat, Hunda se Hayat, Jina Age Diade. So die before you die. This produces a paradox that ego's death is spiritual life. Divine Unity, book 6th, moves increasingly towards multiplicity to unity. Human perception sees thousands of independent forms. Mystical perception sees one divine source behind multiplicity. The Sufi journey in the book 6th is the book presents this as a visual flow diagram. In this way, awakening, longing, then struggle with nafs, then purification, then love, then marfa, then mushahida, and then fana, then baka. If we are looking comparatively Rumi and Ibn Arabi, then Rumi offers the narrative about love, Ibn Arabi divine love, Rumi gives narrative of mirror, and Ibn Arabi tells about heart as locus of manifestation. And Rumi teaches about fana, and Ibn Arabi teaches about transcendence of ego. Rumi teaches about unity, and Ibn Arabi focuses on divine unity. Rumi focuses on spiritual vision, and Ibn Arabi mentions kashaf. Rumi tells about the beloved, and Ibn Arabi says about divine reality. Rumi communicates metaphysics primarily through poetry, narrative, and symbolism. Ibn Arabi develops it more systematically through metaphysical discourse. However, both have narrated all of those things that were the part of the teachings of Quran and then prophethood and then all of the parables taught there in those days. And Rumi has also influenced Shah Abdul Latif and other classical poets of Sindh also mention name of Rumi, Shah Abdul Latif, but I has mentioned only one poet, that is Rumi, and he has mentioned it by name, that uh, Rumi di Rehan, Rumi di Ruh, Talib Kasar, Suma Sar, ye Rumi di Rehan, Talib Kasar, Suma Sar, ye Rumi di Ruh, Talib Kasar, Suma Sar, ye Rumi di Ruh, Talib Kasar, Suma Sar, ye Rumi di Otak. So, in this way, Shah Latif was influenced from it. Rumi uses bird, beloved, king, slave, mirror. Shah Latif uses Sasri, Swini, Mari, Leela, Mumal. There are differences between both of the poets, and Shah Abdul Latif Bitai takes only gist of the stories, and Rumi narrates detailed stories. Both focus on transformation of humans and transform human narratives into Sufi allegories of the soul. Why book 6 is difficult? The book 6 combines narrative, theology, philosophy, Quranic allusion, Sufi terminology, psychology, paradox, allegory, and even geography. Rumi frequently moves rapidly from story to question to metaphor to theology and to story. Therefore, the book should not be read as conventional linear narrative. It is better understood as spiritual teaching discourse. The ending of the question of completion. The book sixth ends without the kind of conventional literary closure expected from a modern work. This has generated scholarly discussion about its textual compositional status. However, Rumi has himself said that this is the sixth book and it is incomplete. Anyone who will observe the pain and pangs in the search of love, he will complete it. And he says that it will be on and on till the last day of the world. So it is a continuous book of human story. Concluding all of this discussion, the ultimate message of book 6 can be said that it was two ends: appearance and reality, information and knowledge and recognition and witnessing, ego and love and fana and baka. And then again the focus on ishq, love. Ishq is much more than the term love. So ishq raba panjo ba shashkar nest, maksade juz jazb an dildar nest. Book 6th is not merely the sixth part of the Masnavi. It is Rumi's mature meditation on the final transformation of human self from multiplicity and ego consciousness toward love, spiritual witnessing and divine unity. So it was all about sixth book, and all the sixth books provide different type of stories with very excellent lessons influencing human behavior and discussing every aspect of that. And Masnavi is very much worth to be read book for all of those people who want to, who would like to understand human nature, who want to understand love, who want to understand human interaction and who want to uh, understand the interaction, human interaction with the nature and natural forces. So it was all about the Masnavi 6th Daftar. Thank you very much. You have watched me and kindly share your feedback too. Thank you.